Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to start learning about layer styles. Okay, so let's start by creating a new project. So choose our 8x8 presets, create a new project. And now what are layer styles? Okay, I don't need to define layer styles. We're going to see in a bit. So I'm just going to create a text. I'm going to create design. Okay, design. So we're going to start learning about layer styles with our text here. Okay, so layer styles are basically effects, I will call them. Okay, so they are basically effects, types of effects we can add to our layers. Okay, these will help our layers look better. So I'm going to start with what we call bevel and emboss. Okay, bevel and emboss. So how do we get to create layer styles? Right? How do we get to add layer styles to our layers? Now there are different ways of adding layer styles. And okay, so I have now created these two graphic elements, right? So in order to add our layer styles, there are a couple of ways. The first way is to come here, click on the layer, right click, and then go to blending options. So you go to blending options, it's going to open layer styles. Okay, so these are the layer styles. And we're going to come back in a bit, we'll close you. And one other way to open layer styles, you can double click. Okay, double click on the layer. So just come to this part of the layer, this part, not the name, not the thumbnail either. Just come to this part of your layer and double click. And you're going to have your layer styles again. Okay, and the last way I want to show you is to come to effects. You see this place where it says FX, right? Click it, and then you're going to see blending options. So you can add blending options. Okay, so you can add layer styles here, or you can just go ahead and add the specific layer style we are adding. So we are going to start with the bevel and emboss. So click bevel and emboss, and it's going to open it. Okay, so you can as well use these other methods to open, and then come and select bevel and emboss. You get. So what is bevel and emboss, right? And bevel and emboss is a kind of layer style that gives us a 3D feel. Okay, gives our layer a 3D feel. Now, we just added it. Let me just close this guy and zoom in a bit. Okay, so I'm zooming in to see my shape properly. So I've opened my layer styles and then click on bevel and emboss. Now we can see right now that it's turning to our layer to something that looks close to a 3D layer. You get. Now we have options here under bevel and emboss. We have the style, we have the technique, we have the depth, we have the direction, we have the size, we have the softness, we have the angle, the altitude. Okay, we have the contour, that's the gloss contour. Now if you click here, you're going to see them. Here we have the highlight mode, we have the shadow mode, okay, and all of these settings, and we can make a particular setting or a particular set of settings of default, okay, so that whenever we open it, it's going to just apply that bevel and emboss effect automatically, that default setting you get. Then we can reset to the default. Now this is the default, this is the default. All right, perfect. Now let's start with the depth, or let's start with the size. Now I'm just going to increase the slider here. Now as I increase the slider, you can see that our 3D effect is becoming more glaring, right? Becoming more glaring. So I can increase the size and reduce the size. Now this is the maximum size, this is the minimum size, right? So I'll just leave it like this, and then increase the depth. Now we can see that the depth gives it more clarity, right? It makes it more clear, it makes the effect more clear, it makes the effect clearer. Yeah, so that's what the depth does. And then the direction chooses the direction of application. You get, so we have the up direction, we have the down direction, and you can see in real time how it affects our effect, right? Good. So we have the softness. This will soften the edges of our effect. Here we have the softness. Perfect. That's bevel and emboss for you. And we also have okay, we have angle. So this is at 90 degrees now. This is at 62 degrees. So we can just adjust the angles to get different effects. You get. So I like this angle, 86 degrees, because of this subtle highlight on top of our shape here, and it's making our shape look like a chocolate bar or gold bar. Okay, and we're going to work on one project at the end of this module with this bevel and emboss. Okay, we're going to work on a gold bar project. So we're going to be creating a gold bar. Now we don't want it to be soft, we just want it to be kind of zeroed. And now we can enable global light. Now you see the effect, right? You can disable global light. And then the altitude, let's make this 100 and see. You can see the altitude. It's supposed to be between 90 and 0. So let's make this 0. Let's make this 90. You can see that as I lower my altitude, our highlight also spreads. Okay? The highlight we just got here, the subtle highlight we got here. So I'm just going to make this say 61. Okay, perfect. Now we have the gloss contour, and we're going to go through them so that you see the different effects you can get. Okay, so we can see that this gives us this effect, this gives us this effect, this gives us. Okay, so you can go play around with the settings and see what you get. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to leave it at this. And if you click here, you can actually edit your mapping. That's the mapping for your gloss contour. So if I click here, it's just like the curves. Those ones we looked at when covering color correction. So you can basically manipulate this just the way you manipulate your curves effect. Okay, so that's basically it. You can just add points and see different effects you come up with. So we can also choose presets. We have the linear, we have the cone, we have the cone inverted. That's it for this ones for editing your contour map. And we have the highlight mode. Now these are basically the modes in which your highlight blends with your layer. Okay, now your highlights are the whites. The highlights are the white. Now as I change the highlight color, you can see that the white part is changing, right? That this really subtle white part, and that's the highlight you get. So this blend mode, even though we've not looked at blending modes, which we are definitely going to look at in details, this blends our highlight to our layer. Okay, so you can change the blending mode. Let's see darken. So we see what darken does. Multiply. But we don't want it to be that. Yeah, so it was in screen. Then this one was in screen, and then this one is multiply. You get. So we are definitely going to learn about blending modes, and you're going to understand this whole thing better when we do. But for now, you just want to keep this as screen, then keep this as multiply. And then when you lower the opacity, you see that the white disappears, right? I mean, increase it, we see that the white becomes more and more glaring. And so also with the black, or with the blacks. Okay, so 50 will do. Same also 50. And of course, this place is where you can change the color of your highlight, right? Maybe you want your highlight to be a little bit closer to the reds. You can do this. Okay, it's going to give you that effect, but we don't want that. And same also with the shadows, but we don't want that. And finally, about the styles, we can change the style, and this is just what you get with the styles. You can choose outer bevel. Okay, so it's gonna bevel it outwardly. We have inner bevel, we have emboss, we have pillow emboss, and this you can just play with these settings. And we have the technique, we have the smooth, we have the chisel. Yeah, so we get this really sharp look with the chisel. This really sharp look. Okay, this might want to increase our opacity for the white so that it shows more, and we might want to change our blending, rather our gloss contour. Okay, perfect. So that will be, now this looks just like a gold bar. If you agree with me, it looks just like a gold bar. So we also have this guy here. It's called the texture, the contour. On this contour, we add this effect. You can see what it does, right? We are able to choose other contours, so it adds more detailing to our contours. And look at what we get. Okay, perfect. And we can increase the range, reduce the range, and you see what we have been able to come up with. And we also have this, which it's called texture, so it adds texture to our object. Now there are lots of textures. They're just similar to the textures we saw when looking at fills and strokes, right? That's under shapes. Okay, so you can as well access all these other textures, and you can add your textures. You can import textures. You get, but I don't want to add textures. Maybe I should just scale it down so you see what it does here. Perfect. So uncheck contour, uncheck texture, and this is it. This is just what we want to have. So okay, and perfect. Now let's try adding our bevel to this guy here. Okay, but what we want to do now is copy this bevel effect onto our text. So we don't want to just add it directly, we want to just copy this guy. So what we do is select the layer, right click, and then come here where it says copy layer style. So you copy layer style and then come here, right click, and paste layer style. Now this doesn't work on text. It seems it doesn't work on text, but it works on other objects, right? So we can right click and paste layer style. So it doesn't work on text, it only works on shapes. But we can still add layer styles here. We can just double click, or go ahead and add it through here to bevel and emboss. And here we have our bevel and emboss, and yeah, it remembered our settings, so we didn't lose anything by not being able to copy. And we can see that it basically looks like this. Okay, so let's just try to adjust some settings, some properties. So let's reduce the size so we can see what we get with the size, right? So if the size is too much or to the maximum, we get this. And this when the size is little or small. Perfect. Basically that's it. So that's what you get with bevel and emboss. I'll just add a little something to this one. I just want to change the color. Sorry. I want to make it softer. You get it? So increase the softness, so you don't just have these sharp edges all over. Okay, so with this we've come to the end of our lecture on bevel and emboss. See you in the next video. Bye bye.